Career Paths, Environmental Engineering. Virginia Evans, Jenny Dooley, Kenneth Rogers. Copyright Express Publishing. All rights reserved. Book 1, Unit 1, The Environmental Engineer. Exercise 5, page 5.
Is environmental engineering right for you? Many people want to help the environment. Environmental engineers make it their career. They apply engineering skills to environmental problems. Here are some common duties of environmental engineers. Evaluate the impact of proposed projects. The goal is to prevent or minimize any harm to the environment. Monitor air and water pollution levels. They may advise authorities about how to reduce them. Design systems to increase conservation of resources. A typical project might be a wastewater system. Environmental engineers work with various organizations. Working together, they try to protect our environment. If this sounds interesting, consider learning more.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 5.
Thanks for coming in. First, what brought you to environmental engineering?
Well, I care about the environment. I want to make a difference.
I'm glad to hear that. What kind of experience do you have?
I have a degree in environmental engineering. I also have 5 years of experience in my current position.
What exactly do you do?
Mainly wastewater and solid waste management.
I see. Do you have any experience with soil remediation?
A little, yes.
Unit 2, The Earth. Exercise 5, page 7.
EPS 101, Intro to Earth Sciences. This course introduces students to the different Earth layers. We begin with the geosphere. Students identify the mantle and crust. These make up the lithosphere. We also discuss the Earth's core. Next, we move above the Earth's surface. We'll talk about the layers of the atmosphere. These are the troposphere and the stratosphere. The last topic we cover is the hydrosphere. The hydrosphere includes all water on Earth. It also includes water vapor in the atmosphere. The biosphere is of interest throughout the course. We'll learn how each sphere contributes to life. This is the overarching theme of the course.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 7.
Hi, Professor. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course. What is it?
I'm confused about the order of the spheres.
Okay, let's start with the geosphere. Starting at the surface, which layer comes first?
First is the mantle, right? And then comes the crust.
Not quite. Those two make up the lithosphere, but the crust comes first.
Oh, I see. And then the core is next.
Exactly. That's the geosphere. But the atmosphere has more layers.
Unit 3, Ecosystems. Exercise 5, page 9.
Sunday edition, Jackson Times. Letter to the editor. I am concerned about the Darby River. The river is home to a rare species of fish. They are called southern pygmy perch. This particular population is shrinking quickly. Their habitat is in danger. Industrial waste negatively impacts the ecosystem. The fish are running out of food. Waste in the water kills plant life. Without those plants, these organisms have fewer food options. As fish numbers dwindle, other biotic creatures suffer. Birds that eat the perch will starve and die. The whole community is connected. Even if an abiotic component is compromised, it will affect everyone. We must put a stop to this. We must preserve the genetic diversity of the Darby River. Respectfully, Edwin Jace, Environmental Engineer.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 9. Hey, did you look at the report from the Darby River?
I did. Things are looking a lot better, aren't they?
Definitely. I'm glad the chemical plants stopped dumping.
Me too. The perch population is already up by 25%. They'll be back to normal in no time.
Yeah, and the birds are coming back too.
And all because of one little plant the fish need for food.
I know, it's amazing how connected everything is.
It really is. I'm so happy things are improving.
Unit 4, Biomes and Aquatic Systems. Exercise 5, page 11.
Eco-Friends Environmental Engineering Firm. Who we are. Meet our experienced team. Our engineers have experience in almost every biome. Lydon Fraser works in aquatic life zones. He's primarily concerned with saltwater habitats. He has experience with all parts of the ocean. Recently, he compared pollution levels of coastal zones to the open sea. He's also studied coral reefs and intertidal zones. Ron Warren is a grassland expert. His latest work compared soil erosion in savannas and tundras. He also works on water conservation in deserts. Brenda Lee is our newest team member. She works in rainforests, both tropical and temperate. Her work so far concentrates on deforestation.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 11.
Hi, Brenda. I heard you got a new field assignment. Where are you headed?
Oh, yeah, they're sending me to the Fiera rainforest.
Really? Wow, that sounds great.
I know, I can't wait. I've always wanted to go there.
What are you going to be doing?
We'll implement more sustainable logging practices.
Is deforestation a problem there?
Yes, a huge one, in fact. They really need help controlling it.
Unit 5, Weather. Exercise 5, page 13.
William's Wisdom, a blog for curious minds. Readers, I have a question. What is the difference between weather and climate? Don't know? I didn't think so. A lot of people confuse them. Climate refers to long-term weather patterns. Weather refers to short-term atmospheric conditions. Both include information about temperatures and moisture levels. The difference is the time frame. Still not clear? Think about watching meteorology reports on TV. What kind of information do you get? Things like precipitation, cloud cover, and wind speed for the day. You hear about pressure and humidity. What about when you read about an area's climate? You learn about the average weather conditions of that specific area over many years.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 13.
Hi, Daryl. Could I get the weather report for Site 13 from you?
Oh, sure, Holly. Let's see. It's 32 degrees.
Wait, could you repeat that, please?
Of course. The temperature here is 32 degrees.
Wow, that's low for this time of year. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Humidity is 65%. Winds are from the southeast at 20 miles per hour.
Got it. Have you had any precipitation?
We had 2 inches of snow last night.
Unit 6, Climate. Exercise 5, page 15.
Chapter 10, Introduction to Climate. Climate refers to long-term patterns in weather. Every region experiences a range of weather conditions. Climate tells us what the average weather conditions are. Different regions have different climate. There are several reasons for this. One is elevation. Higher areas tend to be cooler and drier. Another is surrounding terrain. Mountain ranges can block air. This impacts the climate on both sides of the mountain. A final factor is latitude. Regions nearer the equator are generally warmer. Regions closer to the poles are generally colder. Furthermore, climates change seasonally. This is due to the Earth's rotation primarily. Seasonal changes in ocean currents and prevailing winds also play a role.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 15.
Becky, I just finished reading your report on Gilbert Valley.
Oh, yeah? What did you think?
I can't believe the climate changed that much in just 50 years.
I know. It's really amazing, isn't it?
I'll say. What were the precipitation differences again?
Well, the last 5 years, they've averaged about 16 inches of precipitation annually, but in the past, it was around 30 inches.
That's a significant drop.
I know, and the average temperature dropped by 5 degrees.
Unit 7, Basic Units of Life. Exercise 5, page 17.
Chapter 7. The Cell. Cells are the building blocks of life. They hold all of an organism's genetic information. This material, called DNA, makes us what we are. For example, genes are DNA sequences. These genes code for things such as height and hair color. In multicellular organisms, the DNA is coiled into chromosomes. These reside in the cell's nucleus. Cells with a nucleus are called eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells also include other membrane-bound organelles. These perform various functions. Mitochondria, for example, create energy for the cell. Human cells are eukaryotes. Simpler unicellular organisms are prokaryotic cells. These cells do not have nuclei. They do, however, still have DNA. Many bacteria are prokaryotes.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 17.
Hi, Joseph. How are you feeling about this material?
Well, I'm still kind of confused. I don't get the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells.
That's pretty important. Do you remember what kinds of organisms usually have prokaryotic cells?
Unicellular organisms like bacteria, right?
Right. On the other hand, what has eukaryotic cells?
Plants and animals.
Exactly. So what does that suggest?
That prokaryotic cells are less complex than eukaryotic cells. Oh yeah, I remember now. The big difference is the nucleus.
Unit 8, Measurements 1. Exercise 5, page 19.
Essential conversions. The following are conversions that everyone should know. It is often necessary to convert between metric and imperial measurements.
Distance. 1 kilometer equals 0.62 miles. 1 mile equals 1.61 kilometers. 1 meter equals 1.09 yards. 1 yard equals 0.92 meters. Area. 1 hectare equals 2.47 acres. 1 acre equals 0.4 hectares. Volume. 1 liter equals 0.26 gallons. 1 gallon equals 3.78 liters. Mass. 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds. 1 pound equals 0.45 kilograms. Temperature. To convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit, follow this formula. Degrees Fahrenheit equals degrees Celsius times 9/5 plus 32. To convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, follow this formula. Degrees Celsius equals degrees Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5/9. Thus, 0 degrees Celsius equals 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 19.
Hi, Jim. We've finished measuring the site.
Oh, great. What did you come up with?
The contamination covers a large area. It's 35 miles by 12 miles.
That's more than I thought. So what's the area then?
It's 268,800 acres.
Okay, thanks for doing that. Could you get that in kilometers and hectares too?
Oh, sure, of course. It's a simple conversion. I'll get right on it.
Thanks a lot. It's usually a good idea to have both.
Unit 9,
Basic Numbers and Math.
Exercise 5, page 21.
How do we say it? Symbol. Is. In words, is equals comes to. Example. 0.125 equals 1/8. Symbol. And. In words, and plus add. Example. 5 plus 3 equals 8. Symbol. Minus. In words, minus, less, subtract. Example. 5 minus 3 is 2. Symbol. Times. In words, times, multiplied by. Example. 5 times 3 comes to 15. Symbol. Over. In words, over, divided by. Example. 10 over 2 is 5. Symbol. 2,500. In words, 2,500 or 2,500. Example. The pond holds 2,500 liters of water.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 21.
Hey, Julie, how many sites do we have to visit this month?
There are 16.
Don't forget to add the ones we missed last month.
Oh, yeah, there were 4 we didn't get to. 16 plus 4 is 20.
Okay, there are 4 weeks in the month, so how many do we need to get to each week?
Let's see. 20 divided by 4 equals 5 sites a week.
All right, I'll make a schedule.
Okay, thanks.
Unit 10, Measurements 2. Exercise 5, page 23.
EnviroLab Employee Guide. Measurements. Here at EnviroLab, we use SI for official purposes. SI is based on base units. From these, we get derived units. A meter is a base unit. When we measure area, we use square meters. When we measure volume, we use cubic meters. These are derived from the base unit of a meter. Here are some more examples. Degrees Kelvin is the base unit for thermodynamic temperature. A mole is the base unit for measuring amount. There are different units for concentrations. For example, kilograms per cubic meters is the SI unit of mass concentration.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 23.
Did you get the water sample I asked for?
Yes, I obtained 0.5 cubic decimeters from Grenville Pond. I have all the data right here.
Great, thanks. Was that straight from the surface?
Yes, and the temperature was 15.6 degrees.
15.6? Wait, is that in Celsius? I need it in Kelvin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see, how do I convert that again?
It's no big deal. You just add 273.15.
Okay, so that would be 288.75 degrees Kelvin.
Unit 11, Tables and Graphs. Exercise 5, page 25.
Two, n_Hutter@globalsolutions.com. From p_Erickson@globalsolutions.com. Subject: Changes needed for charts, graphs. Hi, Nelson. Thank you for making all those charts for me. The scatter diagram for the soil data looks great. Excellent job on that one. Some need a few changes, though. The water pollutant table is missing information. Please make a row for mercury. Also, add a column for percentages. The soil composition bar graph looks nice, but it's a little unclear. Can you change it to a pie chart? I think that will make more sense. Also, the line graph about the bird population needs more detail. Please label the x-axis and the y-axis. Oh, and add a legend to the pie chart. Thanks again for your help, Phoebe Erickson.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 25.
Dr. Erickson, could you look over these changes to see how I did?
Sure, Nelson. Let's have a look.
I added the rows and columns you needed to the table.
Great, that looks perfect. What else?
I did the pie chart and labeled the axes on the line graph.
You did? But look, you labeled them backwards. The x-axis should be the dates.
Oh, sorry. I totally missed that.
That's all right. It's an easy fix.
Unit 12, Describing Change. Exercise 5, page 27.
CFCs, then and now.
In the 1970s, scientists found a hole in the ozone layer. Researchers connected a rise in the use of CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons, to the ozone hole. Still, CFC use skyrocketed during the 1980s. The hole was expanding. Researchers' concern increased. In 1987, the Montreal Protocol passed. CFC production plummeted as a result. In turn, the hole stabilized. It eventually began to shrink. This is good news, but the story isn't over yet. We have seen a decline in CFC use, however, the size of the ozone hole still fluctuates. People still need to decrease their CFC use.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 27.
Hi, Jan. Thanks for meeting with me.
Of course, Mr. Paulson. I'm excited about the recycling program's progress.
That's great. What can you tell me about it?
Recycling increased 40% since it started.
Wow, that's impressive. Are there any other notable changes?
Yes, there is a decline in paper waste at the landfills.
I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like the program is working.
It is. Thanks for your cooperation.
Unit 13, Presentations. Exercise 5, page 29.
Carol, you asked me to review your latest presentation. Here are my notes. Your body language was great. You maintained excellent eye contact. You looked confident throughout. Also, you projected your voice well. Your handouts were helpful. They made a nice addition to the presentation. The visual aids had some problems. For example, the chart on soil erosion was redundant. You gave that information in the handout. Sometimes it seemed that you lost your train of thought. Consider signposting so your audience knows exactly where you're going. Cue cards can also help if you find yourself lost. To summarize, the presentation was fairly strong. Your visual aids and organization are your two weak points. Best, Tim.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 29.
Hi, Tim. How do you think I did on this presentation?
You showed a lot of improvement.
Thanks. I tried to work on my body language.
It shows. I'm impressed, especially with your organization.
Thank you. I know that was one of my weaknesses before.
Yes, and you overcame it beautifully in this presentation. Great signposting. You see how it led the way?
It did. Thanks for the feedback. Were there any weak spots?
Just one. You still need to make better use of your visual aids.
Unit 14, Properties of Matter. Exercise 5, page 31.
The water molecule. All matter is made from the same basic materials. For example, water is one of the most important compounds on Earth. Water molecules are made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. There are 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom in every water molecule. The atomic number is the total number of protons of an atom. Hydrogen's atomic number is 1. This means it has 1 proton and 1 electron. If an electron were absent, it would be an ion. The mass number includes the number of neutrons as well as protons. Oxygen atoms have 8 protons and 8 electrons. Therefore, its atomic number is 8.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 31.
Let's go over it again. What are the 2 elements in water?
Oxygen and helium? No, wait. I mean oxygen and hydrogen.
There you go. Now, how many atoms of each element does a water molecule contain?
Let's see. 2 oxygen atoms and 1 hydrogen atom.
Not quite. Remember the formula H2O?
Oh yeah, I forgot. So it's 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom.
That's right. Now let's review the elements in table salt.
All right, that sounds good.
Unit 15, Energy, Exercise 5, page 33.
Sustainable living energy. Energy comes in different forms. Kinetic energy is energy that is moving. The heat from the sun is called electromagnetic radiation. We can harness this energy with solar panels. They can transfer the heat energy to potential energy. No energy is lost. It is conserved during this process. We can increase energy efficiency by using better solar panels. We cannot, however, increase energy quality. Although solar power is exciting, it can't perform as much work as fossil fuels.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 33.
I think I know how we can solve our energy shortage.
What's your idea?
Well, hydroelectric dams are great at generating energy.
How exactly do they work?
Well, here's the basic idea. Potential energy is converted into kinetic energy.
How does that happen?
The potential energy of water in a reservoir becomes kinetic when it flows through the dam.
Okay, then what?
The kinetic energy of the flowing water turns a turbine. The turbine then turns a generator, which generates electricity.
Glossary. Abiotic. Acre. Add. Advise. Amount. Apply. Aquatic life zone. Area. Atmosphere. Atom. Atomic number. Average. Bar graph. Base unit. Biome. Biosphere. Biotic. Body language. Cell. Celsius. Chromosome. Climate. Cloud cover. Coastal zone. Column. Community. Component. Compound. Concentration. Conservation. Conserve. Coral reef. Core. Crust. Cubic meter. Cue card. Current. Decline. Decrease. Derived unit. Desert. Divide by. DNA. Ecosystem. Electromagnetic radiation. Electron. Element. Elevation. Energy. Energy efficiency. Energy quality. Environment. Environmental engineer. Equal. Equator. Eukaryotic. Evaluate. Expand. Eye contact. Fahrenheit. Fluctuate. Gallon. Gene. Genetic diversity. Genetic information. Geosphere. Grassland. Habitat. Handout. Heat. Hectare. Humidity. 100. Hydrosphere. Impact. Imperial. Increase. Intertidal zone. Ion. Kelvin. Kilogram. Kilometer. Kinetic energy. Latitude. Legend. Less. Line graph. Leader. Lithosphere. Mantle. Mass number. Matter. Meteorology. Meter. Metric. Mile. Minus. Moisture. Mole. Molecule. Monitor. Multicellular.
Multiply by.
Neutron. Nucleus. Ocean. Open sea. Organism. Over. Pattern. Pie chart. Plummet. Plus. Pole. Pollution. Population. Potential energy.
Pound.
Precipitation. Presentation. Pressure. Prevailing wind. Prevent.
Project.
Prokaryotic. Proton. Rainforest. Range. Resources. Review. Rise. Rotation. Row.
Saltwater.
Savanna. Scatter diagram. Short term. Shrink. SI. Signpost. Skyrocket. Species. Square meter. Stabilize. Stratosphere. Subtract. Summarize. Table. Temperature. Terrain. Thermodynamic temperature.
Times.
Transfer. Troposphere. Tundra. Unicellular. Visual aid. Volume. Weather. Wind speed. Work. X-axis. Y-axis. Yard.
Book 2, Unit 1, Traits of an Environmental Engineer. Exercise 5, page 5.
Job listing. Environmental engineering. Jarman Environmental Planning provides environmental planning services for corporate and government agencies. We are looking for a new member for our team. Applicants should have the following qualifications. They should show a clear record of innovative thinking. Applications should include a cover letter demonstrating this. Give examples of outside-the-box solutions to problems you've faced. Applicants should be dedicated team players. The success of our company depends on the commitment of our engineers. Our team members are goal-oriented. They work together to accomplish Jarman's objectives of sustainability and responsibility. Applicants must demonstrate critical thinking skills. They should be able to provide logical solutions to complex problems, and they must be able to focus on the task at hand. At Jarman EP, we value ability and expertise. We require that applicants have a 4-year degree in environmental studies or a related field. But more importantly, we seek applicants who are curious about the natural world and our place in it.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 5.
Why do you want to work for Jarman Environmental Planning?
I admire your dedication to sustainable urban development. I think my skills would help you reach your goals.
What qualities do you have that would accomplish that?
I am an excellent critical thinker.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. I successfully petitioned my school to restructure the environmental engineering degree plan. The plan I proposed clarified our focus on sustainability.
Good. That also shows a commitment to Jarman's values.
I can give many examples of that commitment, including volunteer work.
Your qualifications are impressive, even without much experience. However, we also want to be certain of your ability to set your own goals and work toward them with limited supervision.
I believe I could do that. I am very goal-oriented.
Can you give me an example?
I graduated a year early because I took extra classes. Once I set a goal, I do everything necessary to reach it.
Unit 2, Education. Exercise 5, page 7.
Engineering Department at Southwestern University. There are many reasons to pursue a degree in engineering. But whatever your reason, Southwestern University is the place to do it. We are accredited by the ABET and the EAB. This means your degree can open doors for you all over the world. Southwestern University offers both undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. BSc. Students pursuing a bachelor's degree in engineering have several options. All students are required to take core engineering classes. In addition, they must choose a minor field. Options include environmental studies, mathematics, physics, and biology. Students with associate's degrees may transfer those credits toward a minor. MA. There are several prerequisites for enrolling in the master's degree program at Southwestern. Students must hold a bachelor's degree or higher in engineering or a related field. They must also show evidence of academic excellence. PhD. Students pursuing a doctorate in engineering must be supported by a current Southwestern faculty member.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 7.
Hi, Dr. Ford. Do you have a moment to talk with me?
Of course. Congratulations on graduating next month.
Thank you, but I wanted to talk about what to do next.
Are you looking for work?
I am, but I'm also thinking about pursuing a postgraduate degree. What do you think?
Well, there are definitely some benefits. First, a master's degree allows you to spend more time learning about the technical side of things.
Is that attractive to employers?
Certainly. They want someone with technical experience, not just theoretical knowledge.
Do you think it would change my income possibilities?
That depends. Engineers with more than an undergraduate degree often find more interesting and better paid jobs, but you also have to consider how much you will be paying in tuition. It's best if you can find financial help.
Would you write a letter recommending me for a scholarship?
I'd be happy to.
Unit 3, The Scientific Method. Exercise 5, page 9.
Boro Labs challenges Aquafirma's scientific method. Aquafirma announced the development of a new water filter last week. Company scientists claim that the filter offers significant improvements. Their observation is that it filters 45% more toxic materials than the earlier model. Further, it reduces disease-causing toxins by 80%. If verified, these conclusions will be significant. In particular, they will affect regions with limited water treatment options. Boro Labs is currently running an independent experiment to evaluate these results. The Boro Labs experiment will consider a slightly different problem than Aquafirma's. They argue that the company's hypothesis was too broad to be testable. Boro Labs will not test for toxins in general. Instead, they will focus on a single disease-causing bacterium. They will filter bacteria-treated water using the old filter. This will establish a control group. For the experimental group, they will filter water with the same amount of bacteria, but they will introduce the new filter as an independent variable.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 9.
I'm really excited about this experiment we're starting next week.
What are you working on?
We're going to test the new Aquafirma filter. We want to see how well it works on bacteria.
Will you be testing how well it filters man-made toxins as well?
No, we're going to focus on natural toxins.
Why? I thought that industrial pollutants were the most important thing to check for.
Well, we want to see how well this filter will work in rural communities.
Don't they have to worry about industrial pollution too?
Yes, but the bacteria we're testing for is their biggest problem.
What kind of results do you expect?
Aquafirma claims that the filter will remove 80%, but my hypothesis is that the experimental group will show less impressive results.
Let me know how it turns out.
Unit 4, Problem Solving. Exercise 5, page 11.
Aquafirma Employee Guidelines. Problem Solving. As employees of Aquafirma, we attack difficult problems every day. Over the years, we've learned a few things about how to approach such issues. 1. Problem identification. This is one of the key elements of effective problem solving. If you don't know exactly what the problem is, it is difficult to solve. 2. Analysis. Once you have identified the problem, analyze all aspects of the situation. Identify available resources and calculate the cost of further needs. 3. Redefine the problem. It is rare to find a solution on your first try. Often, you may need to consider the issue from a new angle. 4. Iterative procedure. Sometimes a solution almost works but leaves a few parts of the problem unsolved. In this case, you may change some small part of your plan and try again. If this next iteration still doesn't work, try again. You may also want to try a synthesis of various earlier solutions.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 11. How are things coming with the new filter?
Well, I've identified the problem. It's filtering man-made toxins, but it's letting bacteria through.
How are we going to fix it?
For the next iteration, we plan to increase the layers of filtering material.
That sounds like a reasonable approach.
It should work, but it may be too expensive.
Do you have more cost-effective solutions in mind?
I would like to try using a new material, but I'm not sure if it's feasible.
What's the problem?
The material is still under analysis at the lab. We've got to make sure it's safe. It may take a while to get results.
Is there anything I can do to help?
You could call the lab and see if you can speed things up there.
Unit 5, Working with Numbers. Exercise 5, page 13.
Boro Labs, Employee Manual, Number Conventions. Boro Labs employs technicians and scientists from all over the world. Together, our employees speak 25 languages. But for us, numbers are often more important than words. We must be certain that we understand each other. Failing to follow our numbering conventions could cause significant problems. Even the smallest rounding error could lead to wasted time and resources. If a number is squared when it should be cubed, it could cost us thousands of dollars. Significant figures. Numbers should be written to the thousandths place. If you round to the tenths or hundredths, you lose precision. Exponents. Use superscript numbers to multiply numbers to the nth power. Order of magnitude. Always include a note for other team members if the calculation scale is altered. Zeros. We do not use trailing zeros or leading zeros as placeholders. Instead, all numbers should be expressed in scientific notation. And remember, triple check your calculations.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 13.
I think there may be a problem with your calculations.
Why is that?
Well, they don't match up with my findings or with your report from yesterday.
That's strange. Do you mind running over the figures again with me?
No problem. The error seems to be in data collection. What did you get for the toxin levels on the first round of filtering?
Let me check. It looks like I got 3.75.
But you didn't include thousandths.
You're right. I bet that's the problem.
Yeah, a few days ago you got 3.759 for that measurement. We usually include significant figures up to the thousandths place.
Leaving off the 9 must have caused a rounding error later on.
Well, I'm glad we caught it. You might want to read over the numbering guidelines again.
That's probably a good idea.
Unit 6, Analyzing Quantities. Exercise 5, page 15.
Chapter 6. Expressing Quantities. Whole numbers are usually expressed as integers, but expression becomes more complicated for numbers smaller than 1. 1. Fractions. Fractions use a numerator and denominator. They represent an amount as part of a whole. For instance, the fraction 3/4 represents an amount that is equal to 3 out of 4 parts of a whole. Fractions can also be combined with integers to form mixed numbers. 2. Percentages. A percentage represents an amount as a percent of the whole. 1% is 1 part out of 100. For very small amounts, percentages may be inconvenient. Instead, one might use the expression parts per million, ppm. 3. Decimal numbers. Decimal numbers use a decimal point to separate whole numbers from percentages. One can easily convert each of these forms of expression into the others. For example, half of something can be represented as the fraction 1/2. Dividing the numerator by the denominator converts this to the decimal number 0.5.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 15.
We finally got the results on those air quality tests.
How do they look?
Unfortunately, 2 out of the 3 factories we tested showed dangerous levels of toxins.
How bad is it?
One factory's carbon monoxide levels are at 600 ppm.
That's 0.6%, right?
Yeah, levels that high are definitely not healthy for the factory workers or the people living nearby.
Do you think we'll be able to get it down to an acceptable percentage?
We've contacted managers at both factories about improving their filtering process.
How long do they have to get it fixed?
State regulations say they need to have the problem resolved within 6 months.
We'd better get to work then.
Unit 7, Accounting. Exercise 5, page 17.
Two. Howard_Carter@carterfisheries.org. From Marla_Nolan@jep.org. Regarding fish production. Hello, Mr. Carter. I finished my analysis of your fish production system. The chart with results is attached. To perform my analysis, I use the universal accounting equation. This allows me to account for more than just initial input compared to final output. It also allows me to figure for generation and consumption. This is important because your initial input of fish multiplies in breeding season. You also lose input to consumption when fish die. Checking over last year's numbers, I found an error. Your previous environmental engineer calculated feed costs as an intensive quantity. It should be figured as an extensive quantity. I've made that change in the new calculations. I have performed these calculations assuming your operations are a closed system rather than an open system. However, this could change. Please be aware that the production numbers I've provided do not account for the influence of outside factors like natural disasters. Sincerely, Marla Nolan.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 17.
I got your email about next year's projected fish production. I was hoping you might have some advice for improving those output numbers.
Well, the simplest way to increase output is to increase input. If you bought more fish at the beginning of the season, that would increase your yield.
That solution is too expensive.
In that case, I would advise a longer breeding season to improve your generation.
That's a good idea, but I often lose many of the immature fish to disease.
I suggest you isolate and treat for the diseases that affect the newly hatched fish.
I'm not sure how to do that.
I could have our lab look at it.
Do you think it would be worth it?
Definitely. Stopping disease among hatchlings would really cut your consumption costs.
Okay, I'll call the lab tomorrow to start the research process.
Great.
Unit 8, Water Cycle. Exercise 5, page 19.
Carbon environmental planning. Results of Elm Lake testing. Recent testing of water from Elm Lake reveals high toxin content. These toxins are the result of waste from a nearby Dana plant. Immediate action by Dana Corp is necessary. Because of the water cycle, toxins will not remain confined to Elm Lake. Evaporation will cause liquid toxins to become vapor. Even frozen toxins can escape in the winter through sublimation. When toxins evaporate, they move through the atmosphere through advection. Then, through condensation, they mix with rain. These toxins may harm crops and livestock. Even crops that are unaffected by the toxins may release the chemicals into the atmosphere. This occurs through transpiration. Through infiltration, some of the toxic chemicals may also enter the water table. From there, they could enter the Friedman Aquifer. This would mean that the drinking water for 7 counties would contain toxins. All of these ill effects could occur even if the toxins have a very short residence time in the lake. The best solution would be to prevent the toxins from entering the hydrologic cycle.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 19.
I read your hazard report, and I've got some questions. I understand that having these chemicals in the lake is a problem, but I don't understand how they could make it all the way to the aquifer.
Infiltration could take these toxins down to the aquifer.
What does infiltration mean exactly?
It's the process that causes water to pass into the soil.
But the chemicals are not being poured onto the ground, they're in the lake.
That's true, but once they settle to the bottom of the lake, they come in contact with the soil. That's when infiltration happens.
I see. You also mentioned transpiration in your report. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. Transpiration is when a plant releases vapor into the air.
Do you mean water vapor?
Yes, but in this case, that water vapor may also contain toxins.
Which will then return to the atmosphere.
That's right.
Unit 9, Carbon Cycle. Exercise 5, page 21.
Carbon Emissions Challenge. Natural Processes. The carbon cycle is part of what makes life on Earth possible. It allows carbon, part of all living things, to circulate throughout the biosphere. The most common form of carbon is CO2, carbon dioxide. Organisms release CO2 into the atmosphere. This happens when they perform aerobic respiration to break down nutrients. Plants then convert this CO2 into carbohydrates for energy. This process is called photosynthesis. It takes carbon out of the atmosphere and releases oxygen. Thus, carbon is produced by some processes and removed by others. However, human beings have disrupted the balance of the carbon cycle. We release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere by burning fossil fuels. Further, we cut down the trees that process and remove that carbon dioxide from the air. Some of this excess carbon dioxide dissolves into the oceans, but this happens too slowly to maintain appropriate levels. Instead, the excess carbon dioxide diffuses into all parts of the cycle.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 21.
Do you have a moment to talk over this assignment?
What do you need to know?
You asked us to define the role of human beings in the carbon cycle, but I'm not quite sure what you mean.
What have you got so far?
Well, it seems like human beings contribute to the carbon cycle by adding extra carbon dioxide through fossil fuel emissions.
Let's try to keep it more basic than that.
But things like car exhaust add a lot of carbon to the cycle, right?
Yes, but that's not exactly what I meant by the question. Let's think about how humans naturally contribute to the carbon cycle.
You mean by cutting down trees and reducing photosynthesis levels?
Let's keep it even more basic. Consider human beings as organisms.
So you want us to write about aerobic respiration?
That sounds like a good place to start.
Unit 10, Energy Cycle. Exercise 5, page 23.
German environmental planning. Development projection. We have researched the possible effects of a highway encircling the city. We do not recommend constructing the highway in the planned location. This highway would bring traffic and associated business development to environments that cannot sustain them. The northern portion of the planned highway would be especially damaging environmentally. It would run through wetlands and disrupt the energy flow through their delicate food web. The wetlands already suffer from a low biomass. That's because being near the city damaged the ecological efficiency of several food chains. Highway development would worsen this situation, particularly because it would destroy key producers like fungi and algae. Construction waste damages wetland plants. This makes it difficult for them to process solar energy. This would affect several consumers at higher traffic levels. Primary consumers like crabs would suffer. This, in turn, would lessen the amount of traffic transferred to secondary consumers. The American alligator, an endangered species, is one of these secondary consumers. Thus, it is our recommendation that highway development be rerouted.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 23.
I know you're not happy about the results of our study, but I'm sure we can find an alternative highway route.
Are you sure an alternative route is necessary?
Unfortunately, any construction in the northern wetlands will harm the American alligator.
Can't we find a way to limit the damage?
Well, if the algae and fungi die off, several primary consumers like crabs, fish, and birds will die.
But the alligators don't eat algae, do they?
No, but they do eat the primary consumers. There's no sure way to know that they'll be able to find alternatives to those energy sources.
Rerouting is going to be expensive.
I know. I'm sorry to have to deliver bad news, but I assure you that we're committed to finding a solution that benefits everyone.
How soon do you think we can start planning a new route?
We've already started preliminary studies.
Unit 11, Biodiversity and Extinctions. Exercise 5, page 25.
At Jarman Environmental Planning, we are committed to maintaining biodiversity. There are many threats to biodiversity. Sometimes species die out for entirely natural reasons, which is called background extinction. But human beings cause a significant portion of the damage to biodiversity. In fact, many scientists argue that much of the Holocene extinction can be attributed to the spread of humans. Human action threatens genetic variation and species diversity. We build highways through fragile habitats. We pollute the air and water. This can cause local extinction of important species. From there, the problem spreads. What begins as a small problem may become ecological extinction or even biological extinction. This, in turn, threatens ecosystem diversity. Biodiversity is not just important for the species facing extinction. When one species becomes extinct, the balance of various ecologies is threatened. This can lead to mass extinction of more than just a few exotic species. Eventually, the decrease in biodiversity could threaten human life as we know it.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 25.
I just got the results of the wildlife survey from the Clinton Industrial Park.
How does it look?
Unfortunately, it seems the local species of leopard frog has suffered local extinction.
What happened?
It's the industrial development. It's affected mating habits more than we expected.
How will that affect biodiversity in the area?
I'm concerned about the leopard frog's disappearance. It may cause predators to deplete the numbers of other frog species.
What can we do?
I'm considering trying to introduce a hardier species of frog to replace the leopard frog.
Have you considered finding ways to improve the habitat? That might make it possible to reintroduce the leopard frog.
I'm worried that it would be too expensive, and it might not work.
I see.
Unit 12, Environmental Chemistry. Exercise 5, page 27.
Chem 102, Course Description. This course introduces students to the basics of chemistry. It includes both a lecture and a laboratory section. This course serves as a prerequisite for Chem 103, Organic Chemistry. The course will be divided into 4 units. Each unit will be tested separately. The final exam will cover all 4 units. Unit 1, Basic Concepts. This unit will introduce students to key chemical concepts. The concepts will be used throughout the course. They include the periodic table and the basics of atomic structure. Unit 2, Reactions. Unit 2 will cover important types of chemical reactions. We will focus on endothermic and exothermic reactions. We will also learn the equation for calculating the enthalpy of a system. Unit 3, pH Scale. This unit will focus on what makes a substance an acid or a base. It will also cover the effects of solubility on pH balance. Unit 4, Stoichiometry. The final unit will introduce students to stoichiometry. This focus on reaction ratios will prepare students for Chem 103.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 27.
Professor Adams, did you get my email about enrolling?
I don't normally allow enrollment this late in the session. I doubt you could catch up with the other students.
I understand, Professor, but I was enrolled in a similar class at my last school. I think I'm prepared.
We've been moving quickly these first few weeks. I'm not sure you would be able to handle the key concepts. What can you tell me about the periodic table?
It organizes elements by atomic number.
Good. Are you familiar with the pH scale?
Yes, sir. It measures the acid or base level of a substance.
Okay. We'll be starting on exothermic reactions next week. Do you think you can handle that?
I do, Professor. I've already contacted a study group.
In that case, I'm willing to make an exception to my policy and allow you to enroll.
Thank you.
Unit 13, Resources. Exercise 5, page 29.
Jarman Environmental Planning Resource Management Services. We provide consulting services for companies working with natural resources. We know that it is important to your company to produce a sustainable yield. Whether you want to extract coal or log timber, we can help you do it responsibly. Our geological survey services will help your company mine valuable ore without destroying important habitats. Our experience with drilling operations makes us a great fit with oil, petroleum, and natural gas companies. We also provide services to fisheries. We can help you improve your facilities. With our help, you can meet and exceed environmental regulations. JEP also provides our clients with legal services. Our lawyers can help you manage the legal risks of mining substances like uranium. They can also work with managers to clarify regulations. At Jarman Environmental Planning, we are committed to developing the technology to access stock resources. We are particularly excited about accessing hydrogen power. Turn potential resources into responsible, profitable operations with JEP.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 29.
JEP, Mike Hansen speaking.
I work for Northern Natural Gas and I'm calling with a few questions about your services.
What would you like to know?
We're in the planning stages of opening a new natural gas field. We need to hire a consultant.
I think our firm would be a good fit. We have extensive experience with natural gas.
We're particularly concerned about water pollution. Do you have experience in that area?
Yes, we have one engineer in particular who is very familiar with preventing water pollution.
Does she understand the legal side of things as well?
All of our engineers are up to date on current regulations.
Do your consulting fees cover legal consultation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks for the information. I'll call back after I talk to my manager.
Thanks for your call, ma'am.
Unit 14, Resource Recovery. Exercise 5, page 31.
Local resource recovery results. Last spring, a municipal ordinance passed requiring regional businesses to make improvements in resource recovery. The ordinance focused on energy recovery through combustion methods. Using waste-to-energy combustion, several local factories have begun to convert municipal solid waste to energy. One company reported a 7% efficiency increase. Carleton Concrete also reported positive changes. Integrating fly ash into their production has yielded an 8.5% decrease in fossil fuel use. Eastern Tire Co. has found new uses for its pre-consumer waste. They have implemented both primary recycling and secondary recycling. They have not quite met the ordinance requirements. They have only decreased waste by 2.5%. However, they anticipate meeting the 10% goal by the end of next year. Remember, individuals can make a difference too. One simple method is to use compost as fertilizer. Individuals can also reuse packaging to prevent post-consumer waste. Buy things you can recycle. Avoid purchases that end up as discards. Finally, consider purchasing items that have been through the remanufacturing process.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 31.
My secretary mentioned you wanted to talk over energy recovery with me. What's on your mind?
Since that ordinance passed, we've seen major improvements in recovery efforts.
That's great news. Have we met all of the goals we set?
Not quite. We're getting there, but the results are mixed.
How so?
There have been definite improvements in energy recovery and recycling efforts, but our waste-to-energy combustion efforts have faced some setbacks.
What do you suggest?
We need more money to purchase the right kind of incinerators.
Funding for this project is limited.
I know, but without more funding, it's going to be hard to meet the city's requirements.
What do you suggest?
I'd like your help in applying for a federal grant.
Okay, let's start on that next week.
Unit 15, Atmospheric Change. Exercise 5, page 33.
Climate Concerns in the 21st Century by Martin Kenway. Climate change is widely recognized as one of the most important ecological issues of the 21st century. The 20th century saw several efforts to reverse human damage. The 1992 Copenhagen Protocol worked to prevent ozone thinning. As a result, ultraviolet radiation levels are rising more slowly. The Kyoto Protocol targeted production of greenhouse gases like CFCs and carbon dioxide in 2005. Nations involved in the agreement regulated the use of freon and methane gases. This has contributed to minimizing the greenhouse effect. These efforts were admirable and useful, We need new agreements like these that directly attack 21st century problems. Some of our richest ecosystems, like rainforests and wetlands, are nearing their tipping points. Sea levels are rising due to glacial melt. In some places, even the permafrost is threatened. If enough of that cold water enters the oceans, thermohaline circulation could stop. Such an event could lead to a dangerous drop in global temperatures. National and international efforts are needed. Whatever the cause of climate change, its effects can be disastrous.
Exercises 6 and 7, page 33.
Did you read Kenway's article on 21st century climate change?
I did. What did you think of it?
I'm not sure that stopping thermohaline circulation would be harmful.
Really? You think that if thermohaline circulation stopped, that would be a good thing?
Yeah, it could actually mitigate the effects of global warming.
I disagree. I think it would be devastating.
I can see why you would think that, but I still think there could be some positive effects.
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Well, I think the greenhouse effect and losing thermohaline circulation could balance each other out.
Perhaps, but I think we can both agree that it'd be better to just combat atmospheric change than to test your theory.
Of course, I agree.